his life, and the rest is just details. Oh, I started going back in the late 50s, and then, of course, I lived in Marion. My husband said, I wish I had never introduced you to this, because he said, you're worse than I am. In the 60s would have been Donnie Buford, the 80s, Tom Foley, Clint Hurdle was here, Dallas Williams. I go through about 5 different outfits before I finally figure out what I'm going to wear. Then I have to make my coffee, because I don't like anybody's coffee but mine. Somebody likes chocolate chips. Somebody else wants oatmeal raisins. Be sure I got my camera. Then I have a certain way that I go each time. If we're winning, I keep going that way. If we lose, I change routines.
A bit superstitious, huh?
Oh, no, that's not superstitious. That's just a little bit superstitious. I was divorced. Children were out of school, in college. And I just started going back to the ballpark again. I loved it, and I started going back, and I've been there ever since.
Jackie, how are you? It's good to see you. Need anything carried? You need me to carry something?
No, I'm doing fine.
All right, you enjoy the game, Jackie.
I will, thank you. It was just like having an extended family. I got acquainted with the young kids. I'd go to their weddings. The boys would, they'd act like they were homesick, and I'd say, well, hey, now look. Mom's here. If there's anything you need, let me know.
Tremendous, tremendous. Why do you think I keep coming back and getting them?
Play cards for those.
That's right. To me, she's not a fan. She's my second mom. And I love her to death.
Yeah! Keep them low and throw strikes. Stay high! Way to go, Scotty! I hope that they're able to bring some of the ambiance that Bush had.
Cheers.
To the Indians! Forever. Bush Stadium. I love you.
Through good and bad, you've been able to support your team and are the greatest fans on the earth. I spent a lot of years out here at Bush Stadium, and simply put, I'm going to miss it a lot.
These kids have just been a part of my family. And I've always said when I die, I'm coming back in my next life as a shortstop.
Today may be my last show.
Hang on, Todd.
It's a dangerous business, and you can die any day. I've lost 3 friends in the last 3 years.
Oh, now, look at that.
I'm a bullfighter clown. Rodeo is very dangerous. I've had my leg broke in 5 places, 5-inch plate and 11 screws in my ankle. I've had my knees torn up.
That whistle blows. You let me get a hold of this dude, okay?
In rodeo, there's no calling to play. The animal is called to play. My next step is to prevent that animal from getting that cowboy. You have to sacrifice yourself, you know, to that animal to save that guy. You learn from your mistakes, and you go back and you utilize what you learn.
Ride back! Ride back! Ride back! Ride back! Ride back! I got you, Mike. Hang on. Hang on, Mike. Hey.
I wouldn't trade jobs with anybody in the world doing anything for any amount of money, because there's no feeling that could take the place of when I can walk out there and save a cowboy's life, or save a man's life from an animal, and him walk out of it safe, and me walk out of it safe, and leave them people in the stand sitting on the edge of their seat going.
Every morning I get up, I'm excited to go out here and see what I'm going to work on next, and have more projects than I'll ever be able to finish. Well, I started carving in 1970, just for the hell of it. I was working in Bushard Hospital as a speech pathologist, director, and then in 1974, I quit my job totally and came down here, and I've been working full-time as the stone sculptor. And the first piece took me 6 weeks to do. Totally frustrating. Hitting away on a handheld hammer, and just nothing was there. 6 weeks to do one little thing. I ran into Dave Rogers, who was a trained sculptor, master's degree. He showed me what an air hammer was. And it was like the sky opened up and I was hit by the shaft of light saying, you can be a sculptor, because I can now take that 6 weeks work and compress it to 6 hours. Most of the stuff I work with is Indiana limestone. All the buff pieces are Indiana limestone, which I get from Bloomington, Bedford area. I'm starting basically with an undefined thing and making something out of it. Sculpture is something that occupies space and volume and attracts attention and makes your eye come to it. And a lot of my pieces really follow that concept. My sculpture garden is simply growing and growing and growing all the time. It's going in all directions. 10 acres of sculpture and growing. It's hard to realize that I've been doing this now full-time for 20 years. The concept of stopping would be completely foreign to me. I mean, there's no way that I'd stop working. I mean, I just have too many projects in mind I want to do. I've got tons and tons of stone, and I keep thinking, that would do something nice. I could really make something nice out of that.
Different, you just can't hear. Although all the rest of it is the same. We're probably more quieter than the other. They probably talk more, but we find that we're probably a quieter team.
Down at IU, it'd probably be an advantage not to be able to hear your coach. But these coaches out here do an outstanding job.
All right, hold it, take it easy. Now you're hurrying it up too much. You're going too fast, though.
What I like about my coach is that he's a wonderful man. He really cares about us as players.
They're very special because they really work hard. We have some kids that really can play any level of competition. They're just great kids. They love to play, they have good attitude, they work hard, and they show real pride about their school. We don't like to lose, we like to win, just like the other team. They like to win too.
When the Colts fail to cash in on the field, merchants fail to cash in off the field. Many store owners are noticing a drop of 40 to 50% in Colts merchandise sales.
They're down 50% from where they normally are.
At Union Station Sports page, the clearance sale is on, but many people are only window shopping. Fans are trashing the Colts.
They had a 26-point lead on them at the half, and then they're going to let them come back and win. Go back to Baltimore.
Many believe the Colts' heart is gone, time has run out, and fans can't bank on a victory. Therefore, sales of merchandise suffer.
Ticket sales are down, so it has something to do with our sales also. But a lot of them are coming. You have your faithful few, and some of them jumped on the bandwagon.
We decided to test fan loyalty. First, we purchase a few items and turn them over to the one man who can get the job done.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. There's a plane.
It's Superfan. Armed with a wide selection of merchandise, Superfan zooms to the circle to hawk Colts merchandise.
T-shirts, banners, squiggly dolls, and back scratches.
They're a bunch of losers. You ought to join. You ought to be hawking Indianapolis Central working.
$4.
I'm not a Colts fan.
Could I give it to you? No? Could I interest you in any of this beautiful Colt paraphernalia?
Not till they win.
Why wouldn't you buy any of this stuff?
Because I'm cheap.
I'm not a big fan.
This experiment shows just how fickle Colt fans are, but there are two morals to this story. One, younger fans are growing every day, and never panhandle without a license. Kevin Bradley, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
Sumptuous scenery, breathtaking views. It's San Diego on the sandy coast of Southern California.
San Diego is beautiful.
Though similar in size to Indianapolis, San Diego's crime rate is significantly lower and its approach to crime fighting unique. Here civilians and cops stand shoulder to shoulder on the battlefront.
Well, you know what we can do is double back on Broadway.
Don't let appearances fool you. These are no cops. Nancy Kelly and Hans Peterman are actually civilian volunteers who help keep this city safe.
Well, I do it because I love working with people.
They belong to RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteers on Patrol.
21 and 23.
Nancy's a retired secretary and Hans, a retired engineer. And while they neither carry guns nor make arrests, they're a key part of community policing.
And we're on our way now to check the welfare call on a senior.
Hi. How's Annie today?
I can't do anything. I'm just really handicapped.
How glad are you to have someone like Nancy?
Oh, very glad. I could lay down here, lay a pail or something, and nobody would know.
Okay, Annie. Okay. Nice seeing you again.
San Diego has hundreds of volunteers working for free in nearly every department on the police force.
Crime stats are lower and crime is going down. We think volunteers play a very significant role in that.
And let's face it, the price is right.
The price is right.
21 or 23 or whatever. I'm going to be.
But tough streets still take tough cops, especially at night and especially in crime-prone neighborhoods.
The number of drive-by shootings in San Diego, I think, has decreased. Gang members aren't allowed to wear certain colors. They're not allowed to hang out in certain areas. We're using the courts to get restraining orders against gang members.
It's sometimes dangerous out here.
It's the same stuff going on. It's just not quite as much.
Well, it's better than it was 10 years ago, but a lot of change still needs to be happening.
And 13-year-old Pedro often lives in fear. How safe are these streets?
Not very well. A lot of shots. Only over there from Chicano Park, there's like a lot of vandalism, killing people.
Peace, young deuce.
At least 3 different rival Hispanic gangs keep cops busy in this neighborhood, and police claim large numbers of undocumented workers slipping into San Diego from Mexico only add to the problem. In 1995, 500,000 people illegally crossed the border.
Many of them were coming to San Diego for the sole purpose of committing crimes.
A 15-foot cement barrier separates California from Mexico. And for years, police have known if they could reduce the numbers of illegal aliens crossing in from Mexico, they could reduce the amount of California crime. The question is, how could that be accomplished? The answer was Operation Gatekeeper. It more than doubled border patrols and drastically reduced the number of undocumented immigrants, but it's done little to calm the conflict between this city and its ever-growing Mexican community.
We're still oppressed economically.
Daniel Munoz publishes the city's oldest Hispanic newspaper.
We've learned how to not cope, but how to fight. We've learned how to fight. We're learning how to maximize our votes.
You have to break out of the mold of we're in charge. Instead, I think you have to adopt the philosophy the community's in charge and we work for them and we go out and find out what they want cleaned up in their communities.
And police are proud of their success. Overall crime down for the 8th straight year. Violent crime down for the 5th straight year. The city saw 144 murders less than a decade ago, compared with 44 today. Indianapolis has recorded well over 120 so far. Police believe California's 3 strikes you're out law works.
We're not finding as many coming in the third strike process because they're quitting, realizing they're going to spend 25 years in prison. So I do think that's had a significant impact.
I would say yes. I'm pretty much happy with what they're doing as far as keeping the San Diego safe.
And step by step, the city finds the gateway to peace. In San Diego, Jane Harrington, Channel 13,
Unique small towns that it seems time has forgotten.
This ain't Mayberry, but it's pretty close to it.
Historic Morgantown is no exception.
Hello.
Downtown, Gerald Clefane's barbershop is abuzz with interesting stories.
Stop in for a flat top and get a dozen worms to go. The ladies like this. It really smells good.
A couple of shops away, John Geisen literally works around the clock.
A clock that does not run bothers me.
He says timepieces are like a person with an irregular heartbeat. A broken clock
It makes no tick and it makes no talk. The suspension spring is off. I have run out of time on some clocks. I'm a stubborn Dutchman, they call it. I will go till the end. People come in and they inherited or bought a clock years ago, but we have to remember one principle of owning a clock. A clock should be clean and oil max every 5 years.
And I put some WD on it. That didn't do it any good.
The worst thing you can do, you know, but we can take care of it.
At first, John's wife, Joyce, questioned his new business venture.
Actually, I thought he was crazy. We don't know anything about clocks.
The inventor of the pendulum was a fellow Dutchman in the year 1654 by the name Christian Huygens. See, this one comes from the Black Forest too. Leather would dry out.
Who has the best clockmakers traditionally?
Germany. See the tubes?
Tubes for the chimes?
Chimes, you listen to it. I'm originally from Holland.
John's fascination with timepieces began at age 10 when he worked at his Uncle Frank's clock shop.
Taking them apart, putting it together, you know, and you had to make sure they were all perfect. That's what made me interested in clocks in that time.
As he reflects back on his childhood, John remembers the atrocities at the hands of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi war machine. That's a time in his life he would rather forget.
As a young kid, I really don't remember that I ate it, but it was Mom afterwards, when the good times were, that she reminded us of the bad times and that she had to cook tulips and grass and other means to survive.
He then packed up his wooden shoes and headed to America in search of the American dream.
It finally ended up at the House of Clocks in Morgantown, where I think I'm my own boss and I can regulate myself and make people smile and never let them run out of time.
It would be hard to pick one.
Oh, look at that one. The cuckoo clock's real nice because most of them you see have the carvings and have the intricate designs and the craftsmanship to them. You see the, with the figures.
Ein, zwei, saufen. It's what they call the no-no clock. That means no more beer, boys.
Oh, I love the grandfather clocks.
Every grandfather clock in general has what we call a moving moondial.
John says each timepiece is geared to perfection, like a finely tuned orchestra. The clocks chime the end of another day for the village clockmaker, ringing out with resonance in perfect rhythmic time.
That's just something what gets in your blood. Father Time's never going to stop on me. I'm going to let him tick for a long time to come.